Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. Thank you so much for joining me for another Planty video. So today we are going to be talking all about my Alocasia Dragon Scale or Alocasia Beginda, which I have right here. This is one of my most prized babies right here. I'm very proud of her. As you can see, she is quite lush, quite large. Her leaves are massive, and yeah, I'm very proud of this plant. So I'm very happy to be making a video just dedicated to talking about her and showing her off today. So that is what we are going to be doing. So this is actually the just like the regular green Alocasia Dragon Scale. There is also a silver version, Alocasia Silver Dragon, which I don't have, but I would love to add that to my collection just because I've had so much success with this one. I will say that the leaves are a very cool tone, almost like blue-gray green on mine. So sometimes people ask, and I understand why, because it does look like almost a silvery hue, but I think that the silver one is much more silver. And as you can see on her fresh leaves, this one is just hardening off, and you can see it's like definitely a brighter, more true green. Yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous, as you can see. I have been growing her for about a year and a half now. I actually got her from North Shore Tropicals. I ordered online last fall, and I do have an unboxing, so I will link it if you want to go watch me unbox this plant. It was tiny. It really blows my mind how fast this plant has grown and matured. Like, I just can't believe, like, it's crazy to me. So I have obviously had a very positive and enjoyable experience growing this plant out, so I will let you guys know how I have cared for her. What's nice about these plants too is that they are becoming a lot more commonly available. Like, these are popping up everywhere at big box stores here, at any plant store. Like, I see them everywhere. And I think that that is just awesome, because I think that everybody who wants one should be able to get one. So yeah, I paid like $200 for this when I got it because the prices hadn't come down yet, but now you can pick them up for like 10 bucks, which is sweet. And also, if you have a friend with one, they do produce a lot of corms, which I'll talk about. But it's a very easy plant to share babies of, so that is excellent as well. So I get a lot of questions from people about like what the secret is to growing these, especially as big as mine has grown. And my secret has been to grow this in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. So in that sense, I think that the thing that the plant is really loving in that scenario is the humidity. I don't think that these require really high humidity to live, but I think that the higher the better. Like, it's definitely going to be beneficial for your plants, but I'm saying that it's not required because I do know a ton of people that just grow these in like regular household humidity, and they look absolutely amazing. They're thriving, they are lush and bushy. And I will be able to update you guys on this because I am about a week into my transition of moving this out of the cabinet. So he's been living just in my living room for about a week now, and I haven't seen any signs of decline yet. I am documenting the process, so I'll have a video coming in the future on that, because I know a lot of people are asking about what happens when you have to move your plants out of the IKEA cabinet. But yeah, this plant has spent most of its life growing in like greenhouse conditions, so you really have to keep that in mind when you look at a plant like this. Like, it's been very like easy for me, and I've been successful in growing it pretty rapidly, but that's because it's in this controlled environment, right? So this plant was sitting under a grow light for between 8 and 10 hours a day consistently. It was in a closed environment, so the humidity was sitting around 80 to 85% all the time. So it was really just like, you know, living a lavish lifestyle with the best accommodations that I can offer. Do I think you can grow this plant successfully without those things? Yes, I definitely do, and I'm excited to be embarking on that journey of growing mine outside of the cabinet in just my regular house. So maybe I will make an update to this video, like specifically about this plant, because this is a plant that I'm just like really interested in, and really interested in like learning how to get the biggest leaves and just to like grow it to its fullest potential. So basically I say all that to say, give the highest humidity that you can, but it is possible to grow this in less. Like 50% humidity is what I'm growing it in right now, and I'm thinking that that's going to be fine. But you know, the higher the better. It is an alocasia. Well, pretty much all tropical plants that we're growing in our homes are gonna appreciate higher humidity. Okay, I'm gonna set him down here. I put this beside me so that I wouldn't be waving it around the whole video, and then of course I started waving it around the whole video. Okay, so there's a couple other like top things that I want to talk about in regards to this plant, and the next one is going to be fertilizer. Alocasias typically are heavy feeders, so I wouldn't go too light-handed on the fertilizer. I've like really upped the fertilization on this plant, and I think that my alocasias are really appreciating that. I have experimented with a few different types of fertilizer and it has liked all of them. So I was using the GrowTech Vitamax Pro for a while. I also mixed in Super Thrive, and now I've recently been transitioning to the General Hydroponics Flora series for all of the plants in my house, which they're responding amazing, by the way. But I don't think that this plant is going to be super picky with like what fertilizer you give it. I know that they do appreciate a little bit more calcium, I believe. So if you have CalMag, if you add that into your fertilizing routine, I think that they would really like it. I'm still waiting for mine in the mail, so I'm excited to give it to this plant once it arrives. But yeah, they sent me, if you watch my Instagram stories, they literally mailed me an empty bottle. So that was fun. I'm waiting for my replacement. I used to be almost scared of fertilizing, and I think that sometimes you should be, because when I started my plant journey, I was using the just like a Miracle-Gro all-purpose fertilizer. So that can definitely burn your leaves, I'm sure. But I was just very scared. Like I would dilute it so much, and I know a lot of people say like dilute your fertilizer like way more than it says. And I do dilute my fertilizer a little bit more than it says, but I also fertilize with every single watering unless I'm in a big rush or something. So I do fertilize a lot, and I feel like my plants really appreciate it. Like I'm less scared to really like get in there with the fertilizer now, and I feel like it is helping my plants grow. I don't know, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, you guys. This is just my experience. The next thing that I want to touch on for this plant is the soil mix. So alocasias are known for, or I guess it's like pushed, the information that's pushed regarding alocasia care is to keep your potting mix or your soil damp at all times. And I will say that I don't do that. I have had this plant completely, well, I don't do that all the time. I have had this plant dry out completely, like a lot of the time. I haven't put any special effort into keeping the fertilizer more moist than I do with my other plants, and honestly that's been working fine with me. I haven't noticed any negative effects when this plant dries out. That being said, I don't think that you should leave it bone dry for any amount of days or like extended period of time. I think as soon as it's like getting to the point of being almost completely dried out, you should water. But I feel like they're flexible, because I've had it dry out completely between waterings and it's fine, but I've also like kept it moist like continuously. Like I'll water, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say I don't think they're super fussy if you go a little bit too longer, but I also don't think that they're super fussy if you're watering a little bit more frequently and keeping it more moist. You just kind of have to get to know your plant, and this one just seems like very hardy. I don't know if that's gonna differ with like different plant genetics and whatnot. Like maybe I just have like a really tough plant, I don't know. But that has just been my experience. However, keep in mind that I've been able to do that under the conditions of high humidity and consistent lighting. So now that I've moved it out into my house, I am putting an effort into keeping the soil a little bit more moist. Like I don't want it to get to that point where it's completely drying out. You kind of have to like, it's like a balance, right? So I will be keeping more of an eye on the potting mix. I was supposed to be talking about the potting mix. Why am I talking about watering? Okay, well that was the watering, but the potting mix is what I really want to talk about. And I just wanted to, oh yes, I was thinking about how we're told to keep alocasias more moist, which I don't disagree with. I think that they do enjoy that. But I think that the key is to have a chunky potting mix, because if you are just using like some like nasty, compact, thick, dense soil that you got from the big box store or the garden center or whatever, if you're just using that, then your plant's not going to like that. There needs to be some aeration. There needs to be like something, perlite or like something making that mixture more airy so that the roots can breathe. You do not want a super dense potting mix and then to be keeping this plant completely moist. It's just the roots aren't going to be able to breathe and grow. So especially if you are keeping this on the more moist side, you really want a chunky potting mix. So I have like orchid bark and perlite and pumice in mine, and you can see the roots there. As you can see, mine is also grown in plastic, which I kind of prefer for alocasia just because they are a bit heavier on the watering. I have grown some in terracotta before, and it can just get like a little mucky, like, you know, terracotta can get like moldy and stuff like that, and I was kind of experiencing that. So I feel like I like the clear plastic, especially because I can see the roots and I can see like corms and stuff, which is really cool as well. My feet are falling asleep. Okay, so I will talk about corms quickly. So as for alocasia propagation, the only way that I've done it is by corm, and I feel like it's the easiest way. My feet are really asleep. Oh, they are tingling. Oh, that was extreme. Okay. So, the easiest way is to find the corms in here when you are repotting your plant. I'll try to link, I think I've shown like potting corms in a couple of different plant chore videos, so I'll link any footage of me doing that down below so that you can watch it. If you don't know what a corm is, it just looks like a little bulb and a new plant is gonna grow out of that. So sometimes they'll fall out, but sometimes they're still kind of attached to the mother plant and you can just kind of twist them off. But you will find tons. Like the last time I repotted this, I feel like I found like 8 corms, I think, which is just like crazy, and I'm sure that there's already more in there. So it's really cool because you can grow a lot of little babies and you can give them to your friends, or you can repot them back into your pot, which is what I did with my most recent ones that I grew. So I grow them in sphagnum moss. That's like the only method that I've tried. I know that you can do like perlite, even water, pon, all kinds of different things to get these to sprout. But I grow mine in sphagnum moss just because it seems to work well and is easy for me. I've been using glass jars recently. I do have a glass jar with a different one, but these ones are actually dragon scale corms, so I thought I would show you these guys. So you can see I have one that has sprouted a leaf right there. Another one actually did have a leaf and then it just like melted off. I think it was like pressing against the wet bag too much, so you have to be careful with that. But generally you can just pop these. This Ziploc's a little small. I think like one size up at least of your Ziploc. This was just like I accidentally bought these tiny ones, so I guess I can show you this side. So yeah, be careful with that because as you can see the sides of the bag are really wet, so it can rot your leaf off. But we have one that is kicking in there still. So once they sprout a leaf, I'm comfortable taking them out and potting them up. So I can take that one out anytime. I'm just kind of being lazy and I've left it in there. So once you take them out, you can pot them up, and as you can see, this little baby here I grew from a corm, and this baby over here I also grew from a corm. This one looks a little bit stronger and a little bit bigger. Looks really great actually. It's pretty tall. So those will grow completely new plants in here. So eventually I'm gonna have an even more full, really beautiful pot, which is the goal. Right now I'm just like focusing on getting my plants to be more full. So I'm just like, all my propagations I'm just like putting back into my mother plants. But you can do whatever you want with them, and that's the fun part. If you guys want a full video on alocasia corms from start to finish, and just like more information, like a more thorough video on them, then let me know down in the comments and I can start working on that for you. But yeah, in my experience, they've been super easy and just like a really cool thing about alocasias, because they just like, even when you have no leaves, you can a lot of times still resurrect the corm, which is really awesome. Okay, we've talked about humidity, light. Like I said, I've grown this under grow lights. I would say like moderate lighting, I guess I would say. I'm trying to think because I consider like living under the grow lights how it was, like moderate to high light. I feel like these would really love like dappled sunlight. You don't want to scorch them, but if you can give them just like a bit of dappled sunlight throughout the day, or have it like next to a window that's not getting direct sunlight but is bright, or like an east facing window, these would probably like they're pretty tough, but still you don't want to scorch them and burn the leaves, because in the wild this plant would live under the canopy, right? So it would get like some dappled sunlight and it would still be bright, but it's not going to be getting scorched by the sun all day. Okay, so the last thing is pests, and I haven't really dealt with a whole lot of pests on this plant. Alocasia are known for being spider mite magnets, and I feel like a lot of alocasia are, but I feel like it's more of like the thinner leaf alocasia that really attract spider mites. Thinner leafed anything, like thinner leaf philodendron, anything like that. This is a very thick leaf, like this is like thick cardstock paper kind of vibes, so I feel like it's not as prone to spider mites, but still, you know, be careful. I always suggest to prophylactically spray your plants down, wash them off with whatever you like to wash them off with, your soap, your neem, and just keep an eye, especially on the undersides of the leaves, because that's where things like spider mites are going to be. But luckily for me, I just haven't really had any problems with this guy, and that's probably because he has been living in the cabinet. The last kind of sentiment that I wanted to say is that I find a lot of times with young, very juvenile plants, they are just a lot trickier, a lot more finicky, and you can have a lot of problems until they get more established and start growing more and maturing. And that is kind of the experience that I had with this plant. When I first got it, it was a tiny little thing, you guys, and I remember it was constantly yellowing and drooping, and I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I was checking the roots were great. It was just like not looking its best no matter what I did, and I couldn't really figure it out. And then eventually it just like matured a little bit and it became super tough. So I feel like I've experienced this a lot with plants going from juvenile, because I've gotten a lot of my plants as very small. So I've seen a lot of them like grow up, and sometimes they're just really difficult when they're small, and then they mature and it's fine. So if you're doing your troubleshooting and you know you've checked for pests, you've checked the roots and everything, and you can't find anything wrong, it might just be a case of it just needs to grow a little bit and get a little bit more stronger. That's just my opinion. I don't know, just something that I've experienced, particularly with this plant as well. Also with my Alocasia fryduck, it was the exact same thing. So maybe alocasia are just like that, I don't know. Alright, hopefully this video helped somebody out or was enjoyable to listen to and admire my beautiful Alocasia Dragon Scale. As always, leave me a comment down below. I would love to chat with you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel for more planty content, and also feel free to leave any suggestions for what care videos you want me to do next. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!